Hey guys, I'm Dave.
I'm Len.
And welcome to Wargame Chat. Today we're going to talk about World War II games. Are there too many World War II games or not enough? I would say there are not too many. There are a lot of them, an enormous amount actually, but there are not too many because that seems to be the primary game. Most, I'd say 75% of wargamers just want to play pretty much World War II and nothing else, at least the ones I've seen. So I don't think there's too many of them, but for people like me who like playing other periods too, I'd like to see more games from other periods, you know what I mean? But what's your...
I got this idea when I looked through a catalog of a game publisher, and it's like, okay, World War II Western Front, got one. Eastern Front, got one. The Italian campaign, got one. You know, it's like, I remember looking at this catalog, practically everything they want to publish, I got a game on the subject. So, but I was thinking, then I have to realize is that everything I got is out of print. So someone who's just starting the hobby wants a Eastern Front game. There's not much to pick from. So, you know, the new stuff put out by the publishers, well, that's probably who they're aiming at. Not me, but some new guy who's starting into the hobby. So, plus also, there might be like changes, different ways of doing the games. Now there's probably more random events or more cards, so that would add to the play excitement.
Yeah. I think now with the World War II games, since there's been so many in the last, 30, 40, 50 years or whatever that have been made about World War II, they should try to concentrate more on the lesser-known battles. Like there's that one company that came out with a game about that oddball battle in World War II where the Germans and the U.S. were on the same side, I think.
In the Castle Itter?
Yeah, Castle Itter, yeah. Stuff like that, like these oddball actions and battles. That's what I would like to see more of. I mean, as far as like more games about the West Front or the East Front in general, about the major battles there. Well, I've played a game on pretty much all the major battles there. I want to see the oddball stuff is what I want to see.
Yeah, because I was thinking of one thing also, bro. When I was working, there was one guy who got into World War II. He read, like, you know, Rich Atcherson's Army at Dawn and got all excited about it. And I explained to him, North African campaign, I know virtually nothing about it. I know there's an El Alamein. And I also know that Lee Marvin and Luke Skywalker invaded Morocco with the 1st Infantry Division.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah. And
why would you say Luke Skywalker?
Mark Hamill.
He was never in the military.
Well, no. He was in the movie The Big Red One.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
You confused me
You didn't
there.
get my joke.
Oh, okay. I got it. All right.
And actually, he did a very good role in that.
I didn't know he was in the Big Red One. I've seen the Big Red One probably a half dozen times, too. I guess I just never noticed he was in there.
Oh, yes. And I know outside of the period, I concentrate a lot on any airborne operations, and I seem to like the Pacific more. I could go on and on about the battles of the Marauders in Burma, which is a secondary theater, and, you know, I would like to see more Pacific War land battles. In fact, I got really excited. I think it was Against the Odds, had Japan's grand offensive in 1944 where they pushed back the Chinese army. And I think they captured most of, like, 3/4 of China. And that's something, you know, summer that the Axis was being pushed back everywhere except in China, where the Japanese were winning big time. And for a while there was actually a crisis on whether or not China would surrender. So
cool. Yeah, I was in Peleliu when I was scuba diving in Palau. We took a boat over to Peleliu. It was kind of cool because half the people on the tour we were on were from Japan and the other half were from the United States. So it's kind of nice to see the Americans and the Japanese, you know, interact. What would you call it? Just getting along, you know what I mean, and stuff. And it seemed like the Japanese government they had some memorials, and the memorials weren't just that they had there weren't just for the Japanese army. They also were for the U.S. soldiers that were lost too. So I thought that was a nice touch, something nice that the Japanese government did.
Well, on the Aleutian Islands, there's a Japanese war memorial that the government put up. And we always thought, gee, Japanese put it up for a worthless campaign. That's another one. I don't know if there's any battle. I think the Panzer Grenadier had some scenarios about the Alaskan campaign, which is probably about the best size to recreate it. And, there's one sided, the one island, the Japanese weren't on it. And well, the other one was actually a pretty fierce fight. So they had, I think, the first organized banzai attack, which we weren't really expecting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So also I'm thinking there are, well, one thing I noticed that Decision Games World War II magazine, they were doing a lot of what ifs. Like a few months ago I played Operation Jupiter, which was, what if we invaded Norway instead of North Africa? Because this was a serious idea. Churchill was pushing for this, and there was some opposite there. And in the game, you get a good idea of what were the problems. It doesn't look as easy.
Right. Well, look what happened. I mean, when we had the British and the U.S. did the airborne invasion of, what was it, Holland? Was it Operation Market Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't go so well for us.
Well, you also got to remember, we were landing, at least the Americans, green troops that...
Are you talking about in Holland?
No, in Norway.
Oh, okay.
We would have been landing green troops with no experience in cold weather or mountain combat. And the Germans had a couple mountain divisions who, of course, knew their stuff.
Yeah.
So that'd been enough to make it a long, bloody affair.
My grandpa's brother, he was in the German army in World War II. He was in, I don't know if it was Holland. It was one of those Scandinavian countries. And he basically was completely safe there. And then one day someone walked in the room and said, "Hey, does anyone here know how to speak Hungarian?" And he said, "Yeah, I know how to speak Hungarian." So then they sent him over to Hungary, and I think he got killed in Budapest by the Russians. But he was safe where he was in one of those Scandinavian countries during that war. He would have survived that war if they hadn't sent him to Hungary.
So, yeah, there's probably, that was a good one. Another one they had like an issue ago. War starts early. If the Munich crisis was not successful in delaying it, everybody goes to war. And this time, first of all, we have every nation in Europe unprepared for war. You have different alliances because at the time, Germany had just annexed Austria, and Mussolini was getting kind of nervous because now they're on his border. And he never exactly trusted Hitler. The Russians, how would they have reacted to a general war? Because they had Poland on their border. Would they try to get on Poland's good terms and allow Poland to let them through, or would there be a fight? A lot of things like, and also questions on Czechoslovakia. Would they have survived long enough? Hungary, would they? Whose side would they be on? They might have been a nuisance enough to change the war. So that's for me is like exploring a lot of the what ifs of World War II. So,
gotcha. So, trying to think anything else. Well, we could talk about New Schwabenland, but there is a game about that.
How about the 47 Expedition Operation High Jump? And there really is a Nazi naval base in Antarctica. So, actually, I was reading somewhere that the Germans had secret bases all over the world. And his speculation was after, the things settled down, they started closing some of the bases, because he claims that there were bases in eastern Greenland, in some parts of Canada even. It's very desolate, and it's the small, and it's by time Admiral Byrd's sailing down there, they closed down the Antarctic base. So everybody wanted to go to sunny Argentina.
Cool, cool. As far as other stuff, yeah. I'd like to see a few more games about a hypothetical invasion of Germany on the British Isles. There was a few like that. I can't remember what they were called.
Operation Overlord.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was somebody working on one, Germans invading?
That's hypothetical, by the way. There was no invasion of the British Isles by the Germans.
The Germans invading Iceland, because for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it was up in the air because Iceland was a territory of Denmark which had surrendered, and usually, and sometimes with overseas territories, they decide not to surrender.
Right.
Because I know the British rushed over like a few regiments, real quick, to try to claim possession.
Yeah, I think the Denmark government also owns Greenland. They were offered $1 trillion for it by the United States and turned it down. They should have took that money and ran.
Actually, we made a couple offers in our history for Greenland. And it was like Denmark kind of hesitated, and we moved on to other ideas.
I was reading an article. They're talking about if they had gotten the $1 trillion. I mean, essentially, it would have solved every problem that the government in Denmark has, like financially. I mean, they would have been financially set for life.
Yeah. I'm not sure about but do the natives of Greenland have a voice in this, or? That could be one of the reasons why they turned out.
Well, they said that Greenland was open for business, but it was not for sale, was their response.
Yeah, that could be it.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, who am I to tell them what to do, you know what I mean? But if it was me, I would have taken the money and ran. I'd be like, give me that $1 trillion, you can have this.
Yeah. All right, so that's basically what I like to see more about the more obscure battles.
Yeah, same
World
here.
War II, and I like to see a lot of hypothetical what-if situations.
Maybe more stuff about those resistance actions, like with the French. And who were those Americans who had parachuted on the
Jetborg?
Yeah, the Jetbergs and stuff. I'd like to see some. I think there are some games about that, but I'd like to see games about that more often.
Oh, there was a commando game on World War II magazine. That was very interesting. Maybe I should bring it over one of these days to get up. It had some... Andres and I used to combat at the small level. So it showed some of the problems with commando. The more cautious you are, the better you'll survive, but you'll probably not achieve any objective. But if you dare, sometimes you find out the bad part of who dares wins is you get kicked in the ass. As the founder of the SAS found out when he was captured by the regiment dentists.
By the who?
The dentists of the regiment.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So,
But that's all I got. You got anything else?
No.
All right, see you guys next time.